Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. I am Jessica and this is a Fields Full House. So today's video is going to be a little bit different. I normally share videos of just daily vlogs, kind of how we do life as a large family, what it's like being a mom to 11 kids, and I just do my very best and just kind of share, daily stuff of what we got going on. Share the real, the messes, the grocery hauls, all the things. And then recently, y'all would have seen a Q&A video. And so this is also going to be more of a Q&A style sit-down video. I have received a lot of questions about manufactured homes. So I thought that I would do a more in-depth video and sharing some of the process of that and questions. One, so hopefully it can help somebody. Two, as a point of reference whenever I get those questions as well. So if you are interested in manufactured homes, kind of our process, what has happened, kind of more some of the details and information, then this is the video for you. Okay, so if you are new here or you do not know, our family purchased property in 2022. We had a new manufactured home put on our property in May of 2024. Talk about a process. And so some of the questions that I have received, especially with being a large family, we have 11 kids, so there's 13 of us living in this home, is why we chose a manufactured home. So first I will address that. One, when we were needing to buy a house and move, it was at the height of huge inflation in the housing market, like insane levels. I just saw something like fly by. I think it was a bird. It just, sorry, distracted me. There was a huge inflation, okay? Huge. Nathan and I's desire for our family was to have property, to have a piece of land that we could garden and have animals and raise our kids and the freedom of just living in the country. It's something we had always dreamed about. And we really held on to that dream during this time. We ended up purchasing property. We bought 5 acres and we looked at many different forms of housing and how we can do this within our budget. And ultimately, manufactured home won out on that for a couple reasons. Timeline, we could get it done fast, and budget. It is what fit our budget to be able to still live on a piece of property and have a home with the most square footage that we could afford for our family. As far as like wear and tear and having a large family in a manufactured home, I mean, we've been here 8 months now. Can y'all believe that? And so far, I mean, everything is just the same as, when we lived in another house. There's maintenance in anything that you have and live in. I mean, it is a brand new home. I'm sure over time there will be things to fix and stuff like that, but I feel like that's the same with any home. And so within our budget, the homes that we were looking at were smaller and on less property. And for the same price range, we could get a bigger house, being a manufactured house, and have the land of 5 acres. So that is what just fit our, desires and wants for our family and what just fit the best for us. So that's why we chose it. Okay, so now I'm going to dive into some of the misconceptions of a manufactured home. So there's many terms for these houses. There's mobile home, manufactured home, modular home. There is a difference. They actually are not considered mobile homes anymore, but it is something, it's a name that stuck that people, it's kind of like a trend, mobile home living and the like, okay? But they technically are no longer mobile homes. They changed the terminology actually a very long time ago. Mobile homes are a manufactured house that was built 1970 or prior. Okay, there's a lot of misconceptions with the houses of them just not being built well, and that really isn't true today. So I will get into that in a little bit. So mobile home is a home, I believe it's like 1977. I should have double checked the date before I did this video, but it's in the 1970s or prior. It's considered a mobile home. After that date, they are considered a manufactured home, and that is the term used today. Where it becomes a modular is if you put it on a foundation. So if you have a foundation poured or cement blocking all the way around, that is considered a modular home. My understanding and the research that I've done and in our state where we live, what I have asked home places. The only difference is that it's the exact same house that's built. It is just put on that foundation. Now there's two different types of foundations that you can get for that. They're considered off frame and on frame. I can't remember which one. Okay, one of them is much more expensive than the other. So the less expensive one, you can still move the house. Like you could still have the modular house put on that and then say that you wanted to move it or sell it off your property, you still could. I could never remember which one. The other one you cannot, but it's a lot more expensive. So Nathan and I had actually looked into this prior to 2022, 2023 when we were working on this. And the pricing difference to make a manufactured home considered a modular was, I'm going to say it was only $20,000. And then and I believe that was like 2018 that we looked into it. And then in 2022, that price jumped to $100,000 or more to make it considered a modular. Okay. Like these are the price differences that I'm telling you. So it is advised that if you are going to live in your home long term, it is not necessarily worth the increase in price to do the foundation. Because the only difference is that. So I'm just telling you what the home places have told me in the research that I have found. But if you are looking at only living in it for a year or two and you're going to be selling it, then it's more of an appeal to have it listed as a modular home versus a manufactured home on the listing when you sell the house. So anyways, for us, it is a manufactured home that we brought out on our property. And there's a lot of things that you can do. And I think that's one of the other misconceptions is that you can't update or customize a manufactured home. And you can. There's all sorts of stuff that you can do just as if it were a stick-built house. So one of the misconceptions is that manufactured homes are not built the same or to withstand longevity. And that is not true anymore either. So prior, again, to the 1970s, they weren't built, there wasn't the building codes that there is now. So over the years, there has been many codes that have changed and manufactured homes have to be built up to, building codes now. And in our state, they actually have to be built up to withstand hurricane wind forces of, I believe it's 120 miles per hour. Because that's one of the other questions that I've gotten a lot, like, what about hurricanes? Okay, this is a normal style home in our area. In the southern states, I've, see them when we've traveled all over, Georgia, North Carolina, South Carolina, but each state has different building codes that they have to build up to. And for Florida, having hurricanes and high winds, it is built to withstand those high wind speeds. So the only recommendation that is given as far as the longevity of the home is that the home places highly recommend that you put gutters on the house, because that is one of the big issues is it has shorter eaves on the outside than like a traditional stick-built house. And so having the gutters will help with the water runoff and the longevity of your home. And actually, fun fact, the reason why it has shorter eaves is for transportation. So each half of the house cannot be over 16 feet wide. In our state of Florida, it's different in different states, for traveling from bringing it from the factory to your property. I found that kind of interesting. Anyways, so obviously I did a lot of research when we were looking into this. I wanted the best for my family and what we could afford, and I wanted to make sure that we were making a good choice. And I feel like with any home, there's always going to be something that comes up, repairs that are needed. It's no different from a manufactured home to a stick-built house. Even a brand new stick-built house these days, they are built so fast. And I've seen many of them that maybe weren't built fully well in some parts of the house, and, they have to be fixed and stuff like that. And honestly, it's the same with a manufactured house. So when you buy a brand new manufactured house, you kind of have to go into it with a different mindset. So you go to a home place. It is very much like a used car sales lot. I say used cars, a car sales lot. There are salesmen that come out and they want your money. They want you to buy a home. And that's how they are treating you. So if you kind of just go in and just say, you know, we're just looking, and then when you start having questions and stuff like that, most salespeople have been very nice and honest and share some things. And you will find from different lots to different lots, you know, they are competitive in pricing, but the ones with the lower overhead, the homes have a lower cost than the bigger house lots that they have more overhead. So therefore they price their houses a little bit higher. Just saying, that's one thing that I noticed. So the process of buying a manufactured home is, you know, you go to this home lot, they will show you all the beautiful things, and some of them are staged and they have furniture in it so that you can kind of get a feel for it. But really look around and how you can customize it for your family. Because again, that's one thing that we learned is it's completely customizable, just again, as if you were buying a stick-built house. So in purchasing your home, you know, from the home place, you pick out the model that you want. Time-wise is going to be variable from time to time. So in 2022, we were quoted that it could take up to 18 months to get a house because there was a very long wait list. And that's honestly, we paused what we were doing because it was like we couldn't wait 18 months. Anyways, that's a whole other story. We won't go down there. But it's going to, you know, be a range of how backed up the factory is and all of that. Our home took a little bit longer than what it should have. It ended up taking 6 months, and that's the whole process from purchasing it to them building the house in the factory, delivery, and setup, okay? It actually, delivery and setup took much longer than it should have for various reasons. Anyway, so you pick out your home and you purchase it. And this is one thing that I learned is, so when Nathan and I have bought a car in the past, we've always gone to our bank to get a car loan. Not that we've done this a lot, but because you get better interest rates through that than going to a car lot and doing that, okay? And that's just how we've done things. So home, you know, I kind of thought the same way. You cannot do that with a manufactured home. If you are buying a new one from a lot, you have to use their in-house financing. Okay, and that is something that I did not realize. And they are not forthcoming with that information either. I really don't know why, but it is under lock and key. And it is something that the companies have set up, obviously for a moneymaker, is you cannot come in unless you have cash or say that you were able to get a personal loan or something like that in the amount that you would need. Then like you could totally do that. But as far as like financing, it is still an easy process. It's just the same as another loan, as buying a house and all of that. But I was trying to do a better interest rate and use, you know, mortgage through our bank, and it's not something that was able to be done. With that said, after you purchase the house, you can refinance it just the same as you would have any other home at any time that you would refinance. So just a little side note there, because that's something that I learned, because I really did try, and it is not something that is doable, like at all. And it's not something that is widely talked about. Okay, so you get your loan through the home place. You know, they have lenders that they use. So it's not the home place that's financing you. They have their set, you know, new manufactured home lenders. And it is still considered a construction loan, just as if you were building a house. It's construction to perm loan, I believe is what it's called. Okay, so you pick out your model, you get the financing, you purchase it, you know, you sign all the papers, you have your closing then. And then, you know, they build the house in the factory and delivery. And that's one thing, is communication is not most of these home places' strong suit, okay? You really kind of have to stay on top of them and call them and ask them questions. Hey, when is this getting done? Do you have a timeline for this? They're busy. They are in the market to sell, right? So once they have the sale from you, they're not super on top of the communication level with you. And that's been my experience and the experience that I've heard of others as well. So the home is delivered, and in our case, we had to do well, septic, power, all of those things. Now they handle all of that. They have contractors that they do. Now, if you wanted to save money and you wanted to do some of that stuff yourself, or you had a family member who happened to have a septic tank company and they could help you out, you could totally do that. They just wouldn't obviously charge you for those things. But all of that can be included in your home loan, again, just as a new construction house would be. So a lot of it is the same as if you were building a house, but it is certain lenders because it's considered a manufactured home. Okay, so you get your home, it's set up, it's delivered. You go through it with a fine-tooth comb, just like you would a stick-built house, and you create what's a punch list. And you share that punch list with the builder, and they come out at various times and fix those things. It is supposed to look just like it does on the lot, brand new, as it does on your property. And there are some things that happen because if you think about the house traveling, it shifts, on the interstate. So funny. And then in our case, down our dirt road, it shifts, but all of that is covered. Cosmetics are covered. And they come out, and so this is where the big negative usually is with manufactured homes. In my research, a lot of people, that is their biggest complaint, is getting those things fixed. Because if you think about it, they already have their sale, they've gotten their money, you're in your house, you are not a high priority anymore, okay? In our case, we actually did have a good experience with the punch list. We've had workers out here, I believe 4 different times working on things, and they have been very nice workers. They have gotten the job done. And, if I had any questions, they really helped, all of that. So that has not been our experience. We do have 2 things left after 8 months that we are still waiting on being fixed. So I do need to, again, you have to stay on top of them. Just call and just be like, hey, we're still waiting on this to be fixed. Do you have a timeline? And most of the time, oh, I'll get back with you. So then you just call back a week later or however much time you want to give it. The biggest advice that I can be is to just stay on top of things and know kind of what you're talking about as far as like, well, I really think that this should be fixed, such and such. There is settling in a manufactured home, again, just like there is in a stick-built house. They actually fixed a crack that was here on the marriage line, and it's cracking again. So that's something that I'm going to call and ask them about. So anyways, just those are things that have happened in my experience. So now I'm going to talk about the value, because that is something that is a big thing that people will say, they lose value and it's not worth the money and so on and so on. And while it can, I understand why people are saying that. One, I just feel like people should be kind, and just saying some of the comments that we've had as far as like, oh, that won't last your large family or whatever. Just like with anything that you have, whether it's your car or bicycle, your home, if you maintain and you take care of things, it will in fact last you. Again, in my research and the things that I looked up and read and talked to people about, manufactured homes do hold their value. And we have actually seen that in our area as well. I've been like so surprised at some of these prices, of meaning other homes for sale, other manufactured homes for sale. If you maintain it and you take care of it, just like any other home, it will in fact hold its value. And that is something that I think has changed a lot over the years. And there's like this stigma against manufactured homes of, they're not built well, and, they're not up to code, and they fall apart, and this and that. And that just is not true today, as long as you maintain things and take care of things. Just again, like I feel like with any other house. And the biggest thing is like the stigma. Now it was there, for reasons prior, but it's like, just be kind to people, especially when you're talking about their home and that people are doing the best that they can. And this is what fit their family and their lifestyle. And, there's all sorts of variables that go into people's decisions, and it might not be what you would choose, and that is perfectly okay. That's why we are all individuals and people, and that we can make our own choices. But the biggest thing is just to remember to be kind to others and the choices that they make for their family, because you just may not know or understand and know everything that has happened to get them to this point. And so also with manufactured homes, you can add on to them just like you would a traditional house. This is where you do need to think about things a little bit differently, is your addition that you add on needs to have like its own support, and it can't be a fixed, like screwed into the manufactured home. Basically, you can build it right next to it and then cover the eaves and the ceiling and caulking and all of that so that there's no airflow between the two structures. But a manufactured home is built and it's up, And so it has some flex to it that you don't necessarily notice. So you need to have the same thing with your addition. And that's why like you shouldn't join them together, but they still can be right next to each other. Does that make sense? Again, that's just my research. We have not fully experienced this yet because we haven't done any additions. In my opinion, and the prices of the manufactured homes, you can get the bells and whistles and the best of the best, and they are absolutely gorgeous, okay? You can have them now with sheetrock walls. It's called tape and texture, and so that you don't have the batten. Obviously, we do not have that. Our home was not a model that you could customize and change things with, which honestly was one thing that really bothered me. But then when I really got to thinking about it, you pay for all those upgrades, and you pay a hefty price. The price difference from the homes of all the bells and whistles to just a regular model is honestly, it's over $100,000 difference. So for financial sense and budget, affordability, purchasing a house that doesn't have all the bells and whistles, everything is built the exact same. It's just the cosmetic stuff is different. And if we choose to upgrade things over time and change the walls to tape and texture or add something, we would be paying cash for that. So therefore we are not paying interest on that portion. Does that make sense? That is just how we looked at it, because we do plan on doing things to our home and making it more, what we want, and which is honestly what we would do with any house that we would have purchased. But anyways, that's just another way of thinking about it. Is the structure is built the exact same. Now there are different levels of manufactured homes. There's what you would consider the Cadillac version and the Ford version, okay? There are, much fancier built manufactured homes, but they also come with the price tag too. So anyways, those are the thoughts that I have had with a manufactured home and why we chose it, how it fit our family, and just some of the processes that you really don't know until you're in it and you find out. So I have shared a good bit of this process in vlogs on my channel. So if you go back and look, I have us looking at used manufactured homes, the delivery of this house and the setup process, and then us moving in. And I have 2 home tours on my channel as well, an empty house tour of what it looked like before we moved in, and then I recently did one of us living in here 6 months later and some of the changes that we have made. So I will have those videos linked in the description box below. So if that is something that you are interested in, be sure to check those out. Another way of having a manufactured home that could potentially get you debt-free sooner, and that is something that we had looked at, was purchasing a used manufactured home. There wasn't enough savings in there to make it worthwhile for us. So used manufactured homes can honestly be priced anywhere from $20,000 to $150,000. It honestly just depended on the condition. But then you have to pay to move the manufactured home. And that I found to be about $15,000 just to move the house. So you have to take that into consideration as well, and the amount of work of the house. So used manufactured homes during this time of inflation and people needing a home and house crisis that I know was in other states, not just Florida, but it was a very big deal here. It was actually very hard to find used manufactured homes, very hard. And if you did find them, they weren't super affordable and they needed a lot of work. And that we decided that the work and the money, it just was not worth the time for us, and we just really needed a home for our family. So we ended up going new, and it obviously worked out. And another thing that I learned along this journey is if you got a used manufactured home and you placed it on your property, when you go to sell the house, you could only accept a cash offer. You could only sell your property and your house for cash because a bank would not finance a home that had been moved. So it being, in a previous home site and then moved on to another one is where a bank would not finance that. That is something that I learned along this process, because we had actually seen a manufactured home that needed a decent amount of work on 1 acre, and we had talked about buying that. And once I learned that, I was like, oh goodness, I don't really want to be stuck in something. As far as, I mean, I'm sure that there's somebody out there that could buy for cash, but that just seemed a little more daunting of possibly having to sell it down the road. And that is another reason why we chose not to do a used manufactured home, was for that purpose as well. So if you happen to find a really good deal on a used one and are able to fix it up, then you could sell it off your property, or it could be a place that you lived long term too, or a place that you lived and were able to pay everything off and then build. Those types of scenarios I think would work beautifully. A lot of it, you know, is the situation that you're in and your family's needs. And ultimately, the new manufactured home won out for us. So I hope all of that made sense and answered some questions that you had. And maybe I covered some of the misconceptions that are out there as well. I feel like a manufactured home, it can be a beautiful home for any family, any size. And I hope that we are sharing that. We've been able to make the bedrooms bigger for our children, considering that we have, you know, a few children in each room. And we are hoping to do, you know, many things over the years to just make this home, you know, perfect for our family. I hope that you all are doing well, and we will see y'all in the next video.